Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the last panel discussion of day 3 of the FinCom Summit 2022, presented to you by CXO Global Forum. CXO Global Forum is a knowledge-sharing platform for all C-levels across the globe. We take massive pride in contributing to the knowledge economy, and you've heard me say this before, but trust me, this is going to be a very interesting panel discussion. We save the best for the last, as you can say, because we're going to be talking a lot about the future and innovation. Before I introduce my panelists to this session, let me give you a quick, brief overview of what we're going to be talking about. So today, when we talk about e-commerce, we talk about things like cash on delivery and fintech largely, but a very important leg of the whole e-commerce, m-commerce, quick commerce process, and especially q-commerce, is delivery, right? And the quicker it is, the better. Now, delivery via drones, that is something that has started being implemented, all over the world, in the West in particular. And in Pakistan, that's a relatively new concept, and we have to see what the future holds, how it's going to impact e-commerce and the market, how it's going to bring about new opportunities, and what the challenges are. To discuss this, let me introduce my esteemed panelists for the session. We've got Mr. Ahmed Ayub, who's the co-founder at Airlift, Mr. Tariq Hamid Qureshi, who's the CCO at Cheetah, and Mr. Iftikhar Arif, who's the Group CIO at MNP. Welcome to the show, everyone. We're very honored to have you here. I'm going to begin with Mr. Tariq Hamid Qureshi. So, delivery via drones. When is it going to be a large-scale possibility in Pakistan? And what is the current status? What are some of the opportunities that we're looking at?
First of all, thank you very much for the invitation and giving me an opportunity to speak about this with all of you over here. Well, the drone delivery is something which is very interesting, and it's something which will definitely add value to the ecosystem, especially for the last mile delivery, because it does solve a lot of problems. And it is something that, we will have to eventually automate. The last mile is usually the most costly part, so it impacts the unit economics. Having riders or vans deliver does add a lot of friction when you're looking at the timing, because now everything is very quick. The time that you want something replenished, the time that you want something delivered, the time has a very important impact on it, accuracy as well. So taking all these things into account, there will have to be something which automates the flow of the product to the end user or the product to the fulfillment center. And right now, a drone looks like the best bet, which is why a lot of companies abroad are also moving towards this. Of course, once a company like ours, which is looking at closely watching all different innovations, you need to look at it, how we can bring it in comprehensively and in a way that it actually adds to the customer experience and improves the overall ecosystem. There are a lot of things to consider in that. I'll let the others talk about it, and then we can jump into all the nitty-gritties. You're on mute, Anza.
Right. So, Mr. Iftikhar Arif, your opinion.
First, I would like to thank for giving me this opportunity. I've been hearing for the last 2.5 days about the fintech, the COD and thing. I second Tariq that the drone is the new normal, and then there's the next future. But for me, that's not the new thing. If you just recall for the past decades, for the most of the part in Pakistan, drones have acquired a notorious reputation for Pakistan. even as low-cost commercial UAVs become readily available, the term drone conjures up the image of the armed military aircraft and that is ready to rain down the precious strikes. But I must say the credit goes to the pandemic, the blessing disguise, and the perception that has been changed about the utilization of drone in Pakistan, especially when we are using the drones in the wedding ceremonies. So the people, nowadays actually know about the drones utilization. It's early to say that we've been utilized effectively in the last mile delivery, but yes, drone has a great potential to be a part of courier or the last mile delivery partners.
Right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Ahmed Ayub. Now, first of all, congratulations once again on the massive funding that Airlift has received. I was at the Prime Minister's event day before yesterday, and I saw that. I felt very proud as a Pakistani. However, now speaking of drones, we know that the pandemic did present an opportunity whereby contactless payments and contactless deliveries were encouraged all around the world. We see a possibility and an opportunity with drones. So your take on the topic.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I think there is a need of massive correction on that great big news because people keep coming back to me, congratulating me on being a unicorn. So it's not correct, and it's yeah. I mean, if we are in talks with some people, I don't want to take the name of the media outlet who actually created this news. But yeah, look at the power of media that even the Prime Minister believes that. So yeah, it's not there, and we shouldn't take credit of that, something that's not there. But yeah, hopefully once it's there, so I'll happily take that.
Really now, big news, unbelievable. See, I think if Mr. Iftikhar Arif is in a state of shock, just like I am. But thank you so much for clarifying that.
I must say that you have touched a very touchy topic. I mean, we can continue.
Exactly, because I attended the event the other day with the Prime Minister actually disseminating some awards, and wow. So we have to thank CXO Global for breaking the actual news.
No, so yeah, actually, so we were in talks with Kamal as well, and we have committed that whenever it happens, we'll definitely let you know first up. So coming back to drones and coming back to technology. First of all, any one of us, especially startups in Pakistan, because we are, to be very, very honest, at a very primitive stage of our technologies. We are running fulfillment centers and dark stores, etc., and delivery, and it's working fine. But there is a lot of technology involvement that we have to actually go through. Just search YouTube and you'll see the warehouses that Alibaba and Amazon are running. They are partially completely automated. There are bots, there are packers, there are automatic packers, etc. So just like that, drones is also a version 2 of how deliveries will be done in future. I don't think it will replace the current ecosystem. I don't think that's possible. There are multiple reasons why I say that. Like for example, there are many companies who do that. There are some companies in Europe and the US who actually are using that. They too are very selective about the area many companies. A drone delivery actually also requires approval from civil aviation, and this is one area where I think all of us will struggle here in Pakistan, because some of these things are so new that having legislation around it, having these approvals from the government departments will be I mean, it will take some time, because first of all, they won't understand what these things are, what these flying objects will be, how will they allow, if they allow drones for delivery, can they stop drones for other fun stuff, etc., privacy issues, etc. West has actually covered a lot of it, and they are more open about new technology. But definitely there is a future around this. So when you are delivering a lot of is in a city like Karachi, where there are lots of congested flats, there are apartments, and there are so many apartments that don't even have a balcony. So if you actually lose a major part of the use case there. So there will always be a mix of the legacy systems and the drone related stuff. Now, coming to the drone related technology, there are some problems with Pakistani environment are also related to our electricity and telephone wiring systems, because they are out there, and I don't know what level of standards they follow, but it's a free world out there, so anybody can have their own poles stood up, and so I think we'll have
the
to have
regulator needs to play the
Yeah.
role as well,
Yeah.
right?
But there are some localities where all the wiring is underground, and those are the right places to actually start that. So the drones are there. I think the off-the-shelf drones are not the option. Some of us will have to have those specific drones for delivery items. So now in drone delivery, there are two cases. Food delivery. Food is not that heavy. I mean, if you order for 20 people, maybe it's 3-4 pizzas and a couple of drinks probably are holdable. Some of our deliveries are people are ordering oil, and people are ordering drinks and milk. So this is heavy items, and we are actually working on right sizing the boxes for the riders. Drones need to have a certain power that they lift up, and they have to be secure and safe in a way that, for example, if they drop their order, they don't kill anybody. Right? You spill a burger on somebody, probably it won't happen, but a flying pack of milk pack probably can be hurting. So there are a number of cases that we have to solve, but I personally believe, like that, this is the future. It will cover a major part of it. So one major advantage of having a drone is that it will travel in a straight line. So normally the delivery that we are running on a bike, moving all across the roads and streets and signals, will probably take 15-20 minutes on the road. The drone will take 3 minutes, maximum 3.5. I was reading somewhere. So it's between 4 to 5 minutes for a drone to cover a distance of 15-16 kilometers, because they go on a straight line. So it's definitely energy efficient. It's unmanned, and there's a lot of overhead associated with that. So most of us will be poised to use them. I think I mean, there's some homework to be done. But I think maybe next time we are at CXO Global, we probably will have some drones for all of us.
Right, absolutely, and that's thank you for sharing those insights. Let me share a few numbers that I picked up on in my research. So the cost for, and I'm going to be talking about some of the Western countries and how they've been testing drones for delivery. So the cost per drone unit was about anywhere between $1,000 to $3,000, and the volume of packages delivered per day, average size being less than a kilogram, was 30. And the estimated cost per delivery was right under $1, so $0.88. Now, with Cheetah, we know, Tariq Saab, that there's all sorts of deliveries that you're doing, and Mr. Ahmed, you correctly pointed out that it might be easy for a food delivery service to go for the option of drone, but obviously there are a lot of other considerations to be made generally. So what are some of the challenges in your opinion? Are they any different from the ones that Mr. Ahmed you mentioned?
Well, yeah, definitely there are a lot of interesting use cases for groceries and for food. Like as he rightly pointed out, that the drone can cover a lot of area really quickly, but that also gives us an opportunity to cover more area. So there's a use case that, there isn't a restaurant available in a nearby region like Sheikhupura, and maybe a drone can, deliver all the way to a closer city. Very ambitious, but that is something that could add value. Someone at a huge distance would probably pay a lot of money for that. As far as in the grocery side, yes, we have to look at. That's why initially I also said it has to be very comprehensive. You need to understand how the overall ecosystem would work, how the customer experience would work. It can be used in a hybrid fashion where you can have a hub in a certain area which is very intense, and you can deliver in that hub, and then your riders or your walkers or whatever you may call them can deliver it to specific homes. So you're saving time and you're saving cost of fuel. But the actual impact on the unit economics would be when you have an end-to-end delivery through a drone. You mentioned these costs. If you have a lot of the frequency of delivery increases significantly, then the cost really minimizes and it improves the unit economics. I won't get into the specific numbers of it. So the things that we need to figure out is that how do we do the delivery at each and every house, apartment, or office, or different interfaces where we'll be making the delivery. How will we validate the customer? How will we validate the payment method, so on and so forth? That'd be one challenge to look into. Then it would also be, we have to look at the security side, not only of how we're packaging it, but which areas you can go in very easily. Can you hurt someone along the way? Are there any issues with the power lines, as Ahmed mentioned? And there could be numerous use cases.
Insurance? Like how do you justify that? Like how do you ensure a delivery or a packet being sent via drone? Because if anything, it may sound silly, but literally a bird could bump into it. So
absolutely, you can't insure it. You have to account for it. It'll come down to percentages, right? So once you get to a certain level, you'll be like, and then you'll figure out ways. There are drones that can actually identify any object close to it, and they can change their direction. So these are multiple things. Then there are fulfillment center drones. So maybe you won't want to carry inventory all across the city. You just have one fulfillment center, and then you have all these hubs. But for that, you have to really run down on the math. You need to see whether if that can be done in a place like Pakistan right now. I don't think you can cover everything with drones, and you can't do it very comprehensively. You would have to start in patches. You would have to start and pilot with different products, food and grocery, and maybe even a subscription run, milk run. And you can look at all these different areas. Like we have a dairy function as well, where we deliver fresh milk on a subscription basis. So that could be done through a drone. Then we have grocery, and then we have food as well. So it's something that has to be piloted, but there is a lot of potential when you look at the unit economics. And right now we are moving towards a quick commerce phase. So once anyone places an order, they're more and more impatient. So they want to get, and if you have a drone available, it'll be really quick, because as Ahmed pointed out, it'll move in a straight line.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And Mr. Iftikhar Arif, now I can't help but wonder, now when we're talking about all these different industries that Mr. Tariq and Mr. Ahmed you mentioned, one segment that could really benefit from it is pharmaceuticals and medicine, because if somebody needs some kind of medicines, life-saving medicine or life-saving drug, for example, that is definitely a premium cost that the end user would be willing to pay as well. Otherwise, we see a lot of other use cases as well where this could possibly work. But let's talk about Pakistan in particular, right? Globally as well, it's only food delivery that is getting the most traction with drones. What are some of the other possibilities that you see, and is it a space realistically that your company would like to invest in?
Right. Keeping in view that the sweep and scope MNP is carrying nowadays, just to give you a quick idea that we are tapping around 30 to 40,000 B2B deliveries on a regular basis. And same goes with the courier one. We internally had a very detailed brainstorming on that thing, that possibility of drone or to replace drone with our physical resources. Let me share some quick reasons why the people are still skeptical to use these services. Ahmed and Tariq has already mentioned a lot But number of things in a practical, in the reality. The number one is the safety. Safety, not the product. Safety for the equipment. The public here is not trained to understand that equipment that has delivered the food is not supposed to be kept. This makes the return of the drone itself a huge challenge. So this is the biggest challenge right now. And the second, with respect to the Pakistani market, the privacy. Drones have lenses, that are powerful, that can invade the privacy of the people who can record it through the camera while the delivery is being made. So it's about the culture. I must say that the chances are that the people will call out for a ban on the devices that are delivering foods. And the last thing is that a part of wiring and the infrastructure, permission. In Karachi, I live in Karachi. In Karachi, there are many places where you cannot use your professional cameras. So it's likely that flying a drone over these areas to be deliver food or the medicine may not be allowed. So another option is the rerouting, but the rerouting would mean more delivery time that fails the purpose of using drone in this first place. And last but not least, drone landing. I mean, we have all encountered and used the YouTubers that are been handling the devices, the landing things. You would know that it isn't an easy task. It's likely that the recipient aren't equipped with enough knowledge to handle the drones. And coming back to your question, that yes, we can use drones for the medicine's purpose, but again, I must say that without having a proper policy and guidelines in Pakistan implemented, especially we don't have any legislation body to how to use these drones in the market or in these areas. It is very difficult to say that we can effectively utilize these drones, whether we deliver food or the medicine.
Right, absolutely. Thank you for sharing those insights.
And one more thing that after having a very detailed discussion and brainstorming in our organization, that the conclusion part that there may be many more technical and ongoing factors that seems to overtake the idea of food, grocery, and medicine being delivered by drones in Pakistan. So it's still a very challenging thing that we use drone as a delivery services, especially in foods and medicine.
Right, absolutely. No, those are very valid and pertinent points. Now, Mr. Ahmed Ayub, let's talk a little more about the future. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, the drones do become a big part of logistics in the future. What about the human resources? Because as we see current Gen Z, I don't see any drone experts or drone operators being graduated. So how do you feel we should be looking at this gap or filling this gap with the academia?
Yeah, actually, it's an interesting one. I think we normally underestimate the new generation, and it's the speed at which people learn is just outrageous, and we've seen that at Airlift, and we actually do have a couple of, and we are hiring more electrical engineers as well. And the idea behind that is that there will be a lot of automation in near future. But generally speaking, some of these technologies, first of all, thanks to most of the research and mass production done in China, they have already seen some of these things very closely. And I see when you go to UET or NED and Habib University and others, you figure out that there are so many projects that are on and around some of these things. They're final year projects, etc. So I don't see there will be, obviously there will be an uptick, there will be a learning curve, but it won't be too big. Like, for example, if we were to start using drones, there will be an initial phase, and then there will be improvement around that. And given that we already have some working use cases elsewhere in the world, think we can actually just visit there, go and see how it works. Most of the information is public, so that's not gonna bar that. I think the biggest challenge will not be the expertise that we'll have. That we can build very, very quickly. It's first of all the right machinery to choose, because there is the biggest problem with electric cars. What's the biggest problem with electric cars is the charging time.
You have the charging time.
Yeah. See, I mean, if I have to do 50,000 orders a day, right, through drones, I'll probably need 100,000 batteries, because so that and I mean, everything is adding to the unit cost. So there has to be a lot of expertise built on and around that, the maintainability of that. My Honda CD70, I mean, there's a mechanic at every corner of the street. Right?
Yeah.
But so drones will be new, and we'll have to build that. So operating drones and building software around drone management will probably be the easiest thing. I think the maintenance of the hardware, the legislation and approvals will be one important thing. Another thing that probably won't happen in Finland and Germany, but will happen in Karachi and Lahore, is actually your drone got installed. So a $3,000 flying toy, people will be very interested in. And so we need to, but once it has at a certain scale, maybe the interest will go down. But that this will also happen, and we have to be very, very open about it first up.
So first you insure the drone, then you insure the delivery packet, and then you also need to start insuring people around in case something falls.
Yes, and there is another side of that, which at times I picture that, like for example, Cheetah is doing this, we are doing this, MNP is doing this, Food Panda is doing this, like, and there should be like 5 other companies. And if we are doing hundreds of thousands of deliveries through drones, just envision your skies. Drone traffic, and on and around drone crashes, drone traffic. I mean, there will be a lot of feedback, and so there are a lot of areas where we'll have to actually learn, not only us, but the public we are trying to support, and people who may or may not like it. So there will be a lot of talk around that on social media as well.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed Ayub. And Mr. Tariq, in the interest of time, today's session, your concluding remarks on the topic, please.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm just very conscious. I mean, there are a lot of things that seem like roadblocks and things that we have to work around, but I just want to leave saying that we have to be very optimistic about technology in our ecosystem. If there's going to be a lot of traffic in the air, it will take away a lot of traffic on the ground. And if there's going to be a lot of green batteries, then, it's going to take away a lot of carbon fuel emission out of. So overall, there will be a lot of positives in the ecosystem. However, I totally agree with Emma that we need to be very cautious of the entire ecosystem. Getting 100,000 batteries does add to the unit economics, and we need to look at how people can vandalize, and we need to find ways around it. And I feel that all the players in the market working towards it together will try and figure something out. But as I said in the start, the time, the last mile delivery from the fulfillment center to the customer, we need to find ways to automate it. We need to find ways to make it more efficient, so that it improves the customer experience, it improves the unit economics, and it is something that helps the entire ecosystem of delivery. So I say I leave with those remarks.
Thank you. Iftikhar sir, maybe just a sentence with you a couple.
Okay. I am really optimistic about this concept. I'm sure that you guys are known that Pakistan in the few countries that are actually manufacturing drones. One of the leading manufacturers is the Integrated Dynamics, and we have been offering courses in the universities like NUST and everything. So it's a huge potential. If we relate this thing with the export area, it's a huge potential that I've just gone through the statement that if we have a established regulation in place in Pakistan, the potential is around 43 billion by 2025. So, like I said earlier, we have changed the perception of drone. Now we are using drone in different capacities, in warehouses, in other infrastructures, in manufacturing units. I'm pretty much sure that, like Emma said, that maybe one day on CXO Global Forum, we are sharing our core examples of drone deliveries, whether it's Airlift or MNP or any other company. But yes, I'm pretty much hopeful and optimistic about this thing, that the drone is the future.
Right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today.
So just a closing remark. Sorry for cutting you off. Sorry for that. Just because I guess these are great times for Pakistan. This is the first time I'm seeing a lot of things happening on the startup side. Some funding is coming in. People are showing some promise with the Pakistani startup ecosystem. All of this is tech-based ecosystem. So we have to embrace any tech. And so all of us, whoever is listening to us in Pakistan, in engineering universities, elsewhere, keep believing, guys, keep believing. We will make these drones happen. And we will have to make sure that the ecosystem works. And it works better than anywhere else because we have the potential. So that's one thing that I would want to close this on.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmed Ayub. Impactful words indeed. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. This has been a very informative, futuristic panel discussion. I am truly grateful to our panelists for joining in. Thank you so much and stay tuned.